Have you ever looked up at a mountain peak so high it seems to pierce the very sky? In the remote corners of our world, where jagged mountains scrape against the clouds, there are legends that breathe with the wind. Today, we journey to one such place, a land of silent peaks and whispered tales, to uncover the story of a creature both feared and revered, the Thunderbird. For generations, the people living in the shadow of these colossal mountains have spoken of it. They say that on the highest, most inaccessible peak, a nest of woven storm clouds and petrified wood cradles a being of immense power. This is the home of the Thunderbird, a spirit of the sky whose existence is as real to the villagers as the stone beneath their feet. They don't dare to venture too far up the winding paths, for they know the mountain belongs to another. The fear is most palpable when the shadow appears. Without warning, a darkness will sweep across the valley, so vast it momentarily blots out the sun. It moves faster than any cloud, a fleeting eclipse that sends a chill down the spine. Children run indoors, livestock huddle together, and the elders look to the sky with a mixture of terror and awe. They know it's the Thunderbird passing overhead, its immense wings, said to span the width of a river, cast this ominous shadow, a silent reminder of the power that dwells above. They don't see the creature itself, only its passing presence, a dark omen that keeps the community humble and wary. But legends often have a way of revealing their truths to the unlikeliest of people. Our story takes a turn with a traveler, a cartographer named Elias, who became hopelessly lost in the treacherous mountain terrain. Disoriented by a sudden blizzard, he stumbled through the snow, his maps useless against the fury of nature. He sought refuge in a shallow overhang, shivering and resigned to his fate. But as the storm began to subside, he saw it. The clouds parted, and there, silhouetted against the pale dawn, was the Thunderbird. It wasn't the monster he had heard about in the village tavern. It was magnificent. Its feathers shimmered with the colors of a storm-deep indigo, electric blue, and flashes of silver. Lightning seemed to crackle at the edge of its wings, not with malice, but with a raw, untamed energy. It was a spirit of nature, a living embodiment of the storm itself. Elias watched, frozen, as it stretched its wings, a silent, majestic display of power. In that moment, he understood that the villagers' fear was born from a lack of understanding. He wasn't looking at a beast, but a guardian. As he watched, a sound echoed through the valley, a sound that shook him to his core. It was the cry of the Thunderbird. It wasn't a shriek of aggression or a roar of dominance. It was a lament, a cry filled with a profound, ancient sorrow. The sound reverberated off the stone faces of the mountains, as if the peaks themselves were weeping in sympathy. It was a lonely call, a song of solitude from a being that had watched ages pass from its lofty perch. Elias realized the Thunderbird wasn't a threat. It was a solitary spirit, bound to these mountains, carrying a burden of loneliness that was as immense as its own form. The cry spoke of lost companions, of changing times, and of a world that no longer remembered its true nature. Driven by a newfound curiosity, Elias decided not to retreat. The Thunderbird's cry had not scared him. It had called to him. He spent the next few days carefully navigating the higher altitudes, following a feeling, a pull toward the heart of the mountain's secrets. He eventually discovered a hidden cave, its entrance veiled by a frozen waterfall. The air inside was still and heavy with age. As his eyes adjusted to the dim light, he saw that the walls were covered in ancient markings, carved into the rock by hands or claws from a time long forgotten. These weren't simple drawings. They were a story, a history of the Thunderbird. One panel showed the great bird bringing rain to a parched land, its wings summoning life-giving storms. Another depicted it driving away a great darkness, a formless entity that threatened the mountains. He saw images of people, not cowering in fear, but standing with heads bowed in respect, offering gifts to the spirit of the sky. The carvings told of a time when humans and the Thunderbird existed in balance, a symbiotic relationship built on mutual respect. The power of the Thunderbird wasn't just in its storms, but in its ability to maintain the natural order. This cave was a forgotten temple, a testament to a forgotten pact. Elias finally understood. He made his way back down to the village, not as a lost traveler, but as a messenger. He shared what he had witnessed, the spirit's true, brilliant form, its sorrowful cry, and the history written in stone. He explained that the shadow they feared was not a sign of aggression, but a guardian's patrol. The Thunderbird wasn't a monster to be feared, but a powerful ancient spirit to be respected. The legend of the Thunderbird, as it's told now, has changed. It teaches a profound lesson about the nature of the unknown. It reminds us that what we fear is often what we don't understand. The villagers still look to the sky when the shadow passes, but now the fear is tinged with reverence. They see not an omen of doom, but a reminder of the raw, untamed magic that still exists in the world. A power that asks not for our fear, but for our respect. The silent peaks are no longer silent. They echo with a story of harmony, a balance between the awesome power of nature and the humility of humankind. It's a reminder that sometimes the greatest secrets are hidden not in darkness, but in the shadows we are too afraid to look beyond. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the heart of the mountains. If you love stories that explore the myths and legends of our world, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. See you next time.